All right, welcome back, everybody. I'm joined by Rocket's coach, Freddy122. And Freddy, we've seen you on the stage before, but this is the first time you're stepping into the coaching role, the head coaching role, full-time. What is it like?
So far, I'm enjoying it. I love being able to actually control what we practice and how we go about our improvement in the team. I like going on stage and drafting, so it's been a pretty natural progression for me. So far, I'm loving it.
Well, it's nice to see. Now, your team is definitely a mix of a lot of players, and I feel like a lot of fans don't really know what to make of this team. What drew you to some of the players that you used to form this roster?
So with this lineup in particular, I think there's a lot of players who have been underrated over time because of they've been in teams that have failed before. So a lot of people have underrated them, but I think this is like the best of those bunch of teams that have failed. So we have the best bunch of those players. I think they have a lot of potential that we can still unlock in the future. I think it's going to take some time, but more and more weeks go by in the LCS, and I think we're going to get to the point where we actually can take games off top teams and we're actually going to contest.
Well, Roccat have been both Kingslayers and Talent Factory before. Now, one of those players, especially that I think has been overlooked, has been Memento. Are you looking at him to be the leader of this squad?
So far, it's a natural role for him that he's kind of stepped into. He's the most talkative. He has quite a bit of experience. I mean, I think there's a lot of bad reputation he has as being like this challenger player, but really he's not. He has a lot of potential, and yeah, he's been leading the team, like pushing the team forward outside of the game as well. So so far he's been our leader, I think.
Well, I'm looking forward to see that potential unlock. Thank you for joining me, Freddy, and good luck in your match.
Thank you.
All right, now back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you very much, Pyra. Actually, lovely to hear from Freddy122. As said, just stepped into the full-time coaching role. He's been with Roccat and worked with that project for a while. And interesting things to say. A lot of underrated players finding their form, a natural leader in Memento. And that's also kind of what we thought about them coming into this.
Yeah, I feel like that when you look at the Roccat lineup, expectations do initially seem kind of low. And after their day one performance against Sjokz, not the optimal performance. But Roccat do have a history of nurturing talent and turning unpolished players into very talented individuals.
Yeah, we got to give them some time. They will be facing some familiar faces again against G2 Esports. Former coach Grabs and the bot lane of Hjärnan and Wadid look to take down their old team. When we look at G2, yesterday opening game versus Misfits, showing that they are still a force to be reckoned with. Fantastic first game for them against the Misfits, who's obviously also a very strong contender this split.
Yeah, I was really impressed by their team play. They really countered everything that Misfits did early game, just the strong lanes that were coming in. They answered that beautifully and just played their own game and almost looked like their 2017 self.
Yeah, and PerkZ showing what he's capable of.
Oh yeah, PerkZ had a fantastic performance. He set some personal records for himself. He came back swinging, and he wanted to prove to everyone in Europe that as long as he still stands, he and G2 are the kings of Europe.
Definitely. The rest of his team also showing up against the Misfits that, despite not winning the game, still put up a good fight. So let's focus in on the specific matchup. Then Roccat yesterday, of course, played versus Schalke and had that trump card in that they played versus kind of an altered lineup in Schalke. So I feel a bit of a... I want to excuse them for that a bit, because they probably very specifically focused on what they wanted to do there, and they got thrown off guard. And of course, it is a professional team, and they have to deal with that. But I feel like this time they'll know exactly what they'll be getting in G2 Amazing. So possibly that'll help them.
Yeah, I think they're pretty known to lose to sub-rosters because they did the last year too.
Yeah.
But yeah, like now they come in with a clear game plan. They're not going to be thrown off guard, and they will actually be able to execute what they want to do. I think it comes down to shutting down PerkZ, not giving him the ability to actually take over the map and just play your own game and just calm down a bit. Don't make so many silly mistakes and just be confident in yourself.
And that's what I really want to see, because we saw from H2K today a lot of confidence, and for Roccat, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I felt like that once they fell behind, they just kind of stopped making action happen on the map. They just gradually allowed Schalke to take control. So coming into today, just like we saw from H2K, I don't just want them to concede everything. I want them to wait. I want them to scale, and I want them to keep trying and fighting up against what looks like a very strong and tough G2 opponent.
Let's focus on, while the players are setting up, one specific matchup. Jankos going up versus Memento. They both actually had pretty good early game stats throughout it. So how much will it tilt that? I don't think we saw that of a crushing influence of Jankos yesterday, because the whole team was working well, right? So is there something that we can see there?
No, I actually think they have a really similar playstyle. I think that overall they match up really well. Like Jankos, I think now has to settle into a different role. Like he's not going to be the first Blood King, but he's actually going to try to set up the game and be a facilitator for the team. And I think Memento has always done that. He has been aggressive in some rosters, but I think especially in the last Schalke iteration, before they actually made it to LCS, I think he actually was more of a team player and helped everyone else become better. And I think that's going to continue.
Well, we will see. Any of you pegging Roccat to win this game?
I think it'll definitely be an uphill battle, but after H2K's performance, if they draft scaling comp, you never know what can happen.
Amazing.
Yeah, definitely. I think if they can actually like play for late game and do that and execute properly.
So but is G2 going to win today or not?
Okay, G2 is
Highly
going to
likely
win.
G2 will take the win.
G2 is going to win.
Let's see then if PerkZ and his team can continue their performance from yesterday as we send it over to our casters for Roccat versus G2.
Oh, ye of little faith. They are the Kingslayers after all. Thank you very much, Sjokz, and hello to all you esports fans. I am Devin Piratechnics Young, following along the action of this game with Martin Deficio. Linga, we've had a long day. Martin, are you ready for some more?
I mean, yeah. I mean, last game was amazing, actually. It wasn't even that long. It was just a lot of action, early game, mid game, late game. So I want to see the same thing here.
You want to see a Castin, Vayne, and Vlad comp, right?
I'll take it.
Okay, well, let's see if we happen. We have to take a look at the lineups, though, of the players fighting for the win. Kicking it off with G2 Esports on the blue side is Wunder in the top lane, Jankos in the jungle. The mid laner is PerkZ. The AD carry is Hjärnan, support Wadid, and their coach Grabs.
And last three names there, taken from Roccat, actually.
Yeah.
So they have to feel a completely new lineup, and we have to take a look at that lineup right now. Up in the top lane, it is Prophet, Memento in the jungle, Blanc in the mid lane, HeaQ AD carry, Norskeren support, and Freddy, the new head coach. We just heard from him in that interview. Very nice to hear from Freddy, actually, and him talking about how Memento has now kind of become the leader naturally on this Roccat lineup. He's been around the scene for a long, long time, but he's never really found a lot of success. He needs to try and lead this squad here, and I think with Roccat, I want to see them actually try and play a bit more aggressive in the early game, because I think they have some players with pretty good mechanics that can actually get some early leads.
I feel like they definitely have to try and take advantage of the fact that G2 started a little bit slower on the last time, and we know that that is the style that G2 want to play, slow and steady, but trying to keep it clean. If Roccat can find some holes in the armor here as we get to picks and bans.
Now yesterday, G2 banned Malzahn, Azir, and then first picked the Ryze. They can try and do the same thing again. Funny enough, they also started with the Shen ban, so looks like Grabs is just reading the same page he read yesterday and said, yeah, let's start with Shen, Malzahn, Azir. Get the best champion right now for PerkZ, which is Ryze, because it allows him to be more aggressive early on.
And of course, Kallista's removed as well, still rocking a significantly high ban right there. As we continue, balls over back in the G2 court. Do they stick it with the mid once again? Or do they do something different?
Again, Azir ban into Ryze pick makes sense. Roccat can then ban Ryze though, in the last one here. There is still a lot of very contested picks that the teams like to trade. Sejuani for Jarvan is one of the examples. Now we can get Ryze for Azir, as we've seen probably a million times already in this meta.
It's interesting they decided to hit at Memento here with the Kazakhs. I mean, there's so many carry junglers in the pool right now, but it's the Ezreal that actually ends up getting banned over against Hjärnan, so Roccat focusing on that AD carry, but it leaves up the Ryze.
Yeah, and this again is the pick for PerkZ, because if Azir gets locked in here by Roccat, PerkZ is fine with that, because he can pressure early game and then he can leave mid lane, go top, go bot lane, make some plays happen. Roccat right here putting a lot of trust in HeaQ and his late game team fighting. I like this pick a lot if you've already seen tanks, and especially things like Tahm Kench being locked in. I think it can be a little bit risky for Roccat right now to grab it this early on, because now G2 can draft a comp that can actually deal with this late game hyper carry. One of the answers, Jarvan with his ulti, you can't really get out of it.
Yeah, well, Tahm Kench can't always kill people when he's on that side. So for Roccat, trying to go all in on this Kog'Maw might bite them in the behind. We'll see if Blanc does lock in that Azir. We enter the ban phase 2. So Kog'Maw's not the only punch they're packing.
A lot of late game damage from Roccat here. A lot about protecting the backline, Blanc and HeaQ. G2 Esports are more looking towards the early mid game at the moment with this draft, where they can be so proactive with Jarvan and Ryze together. Something Roccat needs to be able to deal with. They got absolutely destroyed by Nukdog and his Ryze yesterday, and I would say PerkZ is as good. If, you know,
he's certainly
you
up
can
there on the
debate
tier
if he's
list.
slightly better at playing Ryze than Nukdog was.
Now, we know how the rhyme goes, but PerkZ has definitely been shutting that one down in recent times. We'll see what they end up picking up next. Of course, it's still in the ban phase 2. Varus was removed by Roccat.
And I want to highlight that Xayah is available, but we don't see it very often without Rakan. So I don't necessarily think that's going to be a choice for Hjärnan. And then I'm looking at things like Sivir, if they want to have this permanent push on the bottom side, or Tristana, something that's actually used a lot in other regions, but we're not seeing it too much in Europe at the moment.
Yeah, handful of games. We'll see if it ends up being the choice here. Still some time on the board as Roccat have one more ban to consider. And they remove Caitlyn, so heavy targeting of Hjärnan this game. But G2 balls back in their court. Do they take that Trist?
Definitely is a good choice, but we know Hjärnan always loves to play his Sivir. And again, with the push into tower dives from a Jarvan and a Ryze, it is definitely a potential. For G2, it is Roccat first to pick on their side. And we saw a Vladimir blind pick come in yesterday against G2, and then Wunder just responded with Sjokz, and he was more than happy with that. G2 actually want to play a lot of tanks. They don't want to play necessarily these super aggressive all-in comps, at least if we base it on PerkZ interview from yesterday. It could change depending on what Roccat shows now, because Wunder is the kind of guy who can always pick carries.
Hey, you did mention the fact that this G2 composition that they're already building does have a lot of pressure in the early and mid game. If they double down on the damage, that might get a little faster, but as you mentioned, it's not what they've stated in their intentions.
Zac
do
jungle.
we get to see the Zac coming in? Memento on the last second locks it in.
Good ganks, but not the greatest skirmish. Once again, there is that Tristana we talked about for Hjärnan. Lock that in instantly. Top lane, blind pick for Wunder. You can go for a tank and just be like, you know what? No matter what you pick against me, I'm at least going to be useful in team fights. Ornn is one of the safest choices right
Ornn's
now. We saw Ilaoi earlier.
We did, but it didn't exactly counter it because the entire
Well, he got
team
ganked, yeah, like
did.
5 million times. So that obviously kind of ruined everything. Gnar is also open, but that's a matchup that's gone in favor of Ornn multiple times in EU LCS. Will they switch some stuff around? Is Zac top? Nope. There's Gnar hover.
Might be going back to the stock standard. Okay, Gnar's locked in for profit. He's going to have his work cut out for him to deal with Wunder's Ornn. And Wunder on day one, I mean, had a pretty impressive performance already on that Cho'Gath. I want to see what happens when he takes the Forge God.
Always love watching some Ornn here. Great Ornn players can set up fantastic ultis that hit multiple members, can win lane really hard. Like, one thing that will most likely happen in this game is Wunder will push early game up in top. PerkZ will run Spellbook so you can get an early teleport and use that to get back to lane quickly and get the push against Azir. And then PerkZ will roam top lane and just kill this Gnar. We can talk level 4, level 5 already in the game. It's something we have to look at because Ryze players in Europe are super proactive early game. It's one of the reasons Ryze has such a high win rate at the moment, because again, you can force these tower dives.
And you can do it really safely too, especially once that stopwatch at level 6.
Oh yeah, it
We're
makes it
seeing
even
back
easier.
Back to back.
You can ult over the walls to get up there faster. It's so hard for Azir to follow, unless he runs teleport himself, but he kind of needs to pick, you know, more defensive summoner.
Well, G2 Esports looking to assert their dominance once more, make their mark, their stamp on the European LCS. Of course, that brand, that organization under very different players apart from PerkZ has already done it 4 splits in a row, looking to be well on their way to taking number 5. But this Roccat team, remember their brand, these guys were known as the Kingslayers, and this is the next generation. Can they do it? They got their work cut out for them, Deficio.
They have a great late game comp here, but I'm concerned about the early game because G2 Esports can apply a lot of pressure, especially around that top side with Ornn pushing in and a Ryze and a Jarvan moving up to get a kill on Profit.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, set your stopwatches because we're hitting the rift for game number 4 here on day 2 of the LCS Spring Split. It is Roccat versus G2.
Look at Roccat, only one stopwatch.
Ooh.
Nice guys.
I mean, maybe they can just share the time with their friends. Not everyone needs a watch, Deficio.
Right. Profit is actually running Spellbook Gnar in this game here. Typically, we have seen Fleet Footwork lately, or Airy, to get a bit more poke damage. He wants to reduce cooldown on his summoners and wants to be able to change away from this teleport during the game. Early on, though, sitting on TP, if he wants to try and get early push into a quick base, and then TP back to lane to see if he can actually stop the Ornn from pushing him on the turret. It might make it a little bit easier for him to survive, but it's so difficult because it's not just a 1v1 top. It's going to be multiple G2 members showing up.
Yeah, it's going to be really difficult. But while we're in, just the start of the game, the line of scrimmage, if you will, I think we have to take some time to acknowledge that yesterday we did PerkZ a little dirty.
We definitely did, because PerkZ didn't get the CS record at 30 minutes. He was then complaining and whining and writing to us that it was unfair because he did in fact have the EULCS CS record at 28 minutes.
We checked. We went back and checked.
Exactly. So to not make PerkZ mad, we have now invented a new thing, which is the CS record at 28 minutes in the EULCS. And that goes to PerkZ. Congratulations.
Yep. You can't take it away from the man. At 28 minutes, he has the best farm.
And he beat Xpeke 1 CS.
Yep.
1 CS more than
ago.
Xpeke had. So PerkZ holding that record for now.
Yeah, well, we'll see if he's able to double down on it. Maybe this game won't go quite that long. But we're getting things underway, right?
And now we're showing the EU players that if you just write to us and complain about stuff, we just invent new titles for you.
Don't spell it out for them. All right, moving on. We'll see what Wunder's able to get done early up against Prophet here. Of course, the Gnar range and the fact that he's got that little bit of extra damage always ticking is going to harass Wunder at the very least.
And I gotta change a little bit here because I actually think the runes we're seeing on screen now are wrong. They are from the last game played. Hjärnan definitely is not running Spellbook Tristana.
But we did just see airy damage.
Yeah, so ignore these runes for now. It is in fact not Prophet trying to innovate and be the Spellbook Gnar in the top lane. He went instead, as you just highlighted, for a more safer choice, a bit more poke damage.
I already had that Gnar transformation, of course, as well. But as you pointed out, it's been real hard for just about anybody to deal with Ornn. The one time we tried to see that allow a counter pick, it got shut down pretty hard. And Wunder has already kind of proven himself as a pretty weighty top laner in this split.
Yeah, and Wunder had a great Sjokz game last time around. Happy to play the tanks here in G2 at the moment. He had a good trade onto Prophet as well, but one thing again we need to follow is PerkZ in the mid lane on Ryze. You start with heal when you run Spellbook here, but when you go back the first time, upgrade to tier, you pick teleport, you instantly TP back to the mid lane and you start perma-pushing it. Azir cannot do the same, there's no Spellbook on his side, and when that happens and PerkZ gets enough mana from again that tier, first of all, you can keep the lane pushed in and then you can start roaming as a Ryze. Either you do it very early in the game or you wait for level 6 and then you use the ulti to just jump over a few walls and then you tower dive the enemy top laner normally because it's just one member sitting up there alone.
Not just like clockwork right now.
I think we got the updated runes this time.
Yeah, we got them ticked over while you were on your speech, Deficio. Jankos getting a little bit of early vision clear. Of course, this early stage of the game, it's all about trying to get that incremental vision and make sure the junglers can safely make moves into the enemy territory.
So an interesting thing happened right here. Blanc actually took a very early recall and went back to base. Bought second Dorans and a dagger here, so he's not waiting for PerkZ to recall the first time and then lose the race back to mid because PerkZ can just TP back. He's actually doing it very quickly and he's okay losing 1 or 2 CS for it. He even gets the CS, so he didn't lose anything. Great back timing, and that means now when PerkZ goes back to this lane, he's not able to just get a quick early push and then roam.
It becomes like that little chess match back and forth when you see the matchup being played so frequently. The Azir versus Ryze, things like that, especially in this meta, even if we're only a few games in, that you can kind of start to predict what's going to happen.
Yeah, PerkZ even saving the TP, not using it back to lane.
Meaning his tier.
He can use it in case he needs to defend a potential tower dive against his own top lane or bot lane. Not that we're expecting a lot of action on the bottom side just yet with Tahm Kench versus Braum.
No, it's all about that top. You see Memento making a little sneak around the side, but
I think he's mainly
hard to get the gank on.
Yeah, he's mainly waiting to see if Jankos will just quickly show up because Prophet is very overextended and Prophet wants to go back soon for the first time.
A couple of love taps traded down on the bottom side, of course. Hjärnan with Wadid facing off against their former team. Of course, this duo really got themselves a lot of, I don't want to say notoriety last year. They really, really stepped it up, especially in the later half of the split.
Yeah, they became the biggest names on this Roccat lineup. Hjärnan came back, was actually out of the LCS for a while, but then started playing again here on Roccat last year, and then Wadid came over from Korea. No one actually knew him. Yeah. Wadid was joking about being this random Korean that just showed up in Europe, and now both guys really made a name for themselves and played well enough that G2, one of the biggest organizations in Europe, decided to pick them up.
Yeah, really adopted the whole European moniker for himself as well too. Like he's one of those guys who's, oh, you know what? This is my home. This is where I am. And it's nice to see a player like that makes a big decision to transplant their career so early on. Just so handily adopted. We often hear about Koreans feeling homesick, wanting to go back eventually. But Wadid and Hjärnan, I mean, that's a bromance story that you really can't beat.
Oh, and it's always very fun to watch them play as well. Together, great synergy, and Wadid, bit of a crazy man down the bot lane with supports here. When he's not playing Tahm Kench, he does like to play very aggressive. TP in this one here with his spellbook, used it already. Jankos is finding Memento in the jungle. 1 level up here for the Jarvan.
He wants to take that fight. He actually sidesteps away from the stretching strike.
Oh, we might get a little fight here.
This is going to be a little hairy, but Wadid swallows up his jungler and gets him out of dodge.
All right, making sure Jankos doesn't take any damage. Doesn't need to use a flash either. PerkZ did not get an early roam in this game here because Blanc had that early recall and returned to lane, but PerkZ still looking for something with the Ryze.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned, though, that this was going to be the pretty obvious game plan here. Let's see if he's going to get something instead on the bottom side. Realm Warp aggressively. Going to bring Wadid to the party. And now HeaQ is trying to waddle away. Quick heal to try and preempt things, but Jankos is going to get the Cataclysm down. There's the stopwatch. In comes Memento to try and turn them back around. G2 in enemy territory. No kills.
A lot of small mind games right there. Jankos knew it would be very hard to kill HeaQ, so he just hoped he could force a flash with that EQ combo. But HeaQ was like, no, I'm not going to flash it because I'm going to Hourglass. And then if you ult me, I can then flash after, or I buy enough time for my teammates to show up. So HeaQ actually saved his flash. Did have to use the Hourglass, obviously. So the instant here. Let's see what happens here.
Okay, PerkZ is going to get pushed on back. Memento goes forward. PerkZ has already flashed away. Scoo's sticking on as he flashes back in. And there's the soldiers. But once again, the stopwatch.
Where's he gonna go?
Tick, tick, ticks away. And it's flash for first blood.
Big plays, smart plays here from Roccat. HeaQ surviving in the bottom lane. Then when PerkZ shows up in the mid lane, Memento followed him. And Blanc was ready, knocked him back. Quick gank. Nice start here from Roccat. Good plays, and they're reading what G2 wants to do.
I mean, you described the early G2 plan in excruciating detail, Deficio. We're going to take a look at this kill again, and I want to get back to another point, but we'll see what happened with PerkZ.
Yeah, Blanc just stayed mid lane at the moment, right here. And Memento followed, so the moment PerkZ showed up, they were ready to gank him. And see what happens here, another fight.
Jankos just got transplanted. All right, Memento is out of there. He goes bouncing away.
Well, Wunder is sitting up here with ult, can't really get down and actually kill Memento, but that game plan, Pyra, where we typically see the Ryze, push, go top, kill the Gnar. Didn't happen this game.
The slow and steady macro, Roccat are just not letting G2 have this one. Now, Jankos is going a little aggressive inside of the Roccat jungle while Memento and Prophet both low. But yeah, things are definitely taking a turn for the unexpected, and I don't know if it's going to be enough, but Roccat, they've got the late game you mentioned. This is a good start for this team.
Yeah, I really like the start here from them, making sure that Ryze doesn't get any early kills, which we see so often here in week 1 of the EU LCS. So many good Ryze performances. This one here slowed down a lot.
Yeah. I feel like, though, a big part of what's happened the last couple of minutes has got to be on Memento. And this is a guy that we haven't actually seen all that much of until, well, previously back in like the 2017 Spring Split was the last time we actually saw him playing on the LCS stage.
And it's fun to see him now play Zac, because back then he used to play a lot of carry junglers. He loved the Graves as an example. He actually was a huge part of his team's damage. So as you can see here with the numbers, he was the jungler that had the highest damage percent in the EU LCS. So he was very, very important as a carry on his team back then. Now he is playing a more supportive style on this Zac here, but Zac does allow you to be very, very aggressive in terms of ganking because of that extra range.
And it requires good decision making too. I mean, when
you can very quickly jump in too far and then you're dead.
I mean, you can definitely go a little bit too far, but also the leadership aspect of it that Freddie was talking about. I mean, he is an experienced player, even though he hasn't seen a ton of playing time in the ULCS stage. Memento has not necessarily had his chance to shine, I think, in my opinion, at the very least. I want to see more from this guy, and so far, I'm liking it.
Especially in this game here. Rough game yesterday against Sjokz.
I mean, yeah, that was definitely difficult, but day one...
They just fell behind early, and then they couldn't really do anything to get back in the game, but this is a much better start from them. A lot of good wards as well being placed on the bottom side, just like we actually saw yesterday. Memento, sadly, is spotted in his own jungle, because while G2 allowed Roccat to control the river, they just walked into the Roccat jungle and placed wards there and said, yeah, we see the same thing.
I mean, a big sentient ball of goo is not exactly the sneakiest of junglers. I don't think they even needed the wards to spot him on that.
Right, Jankos can do something.
He spotted on the vision too. There's a lot of ward coverage by both these teams. I mean, the fact that Rocket's been able to keep up has been impressive now. Jankos is going to have to hop back for the Cataclysm, flashing over the wall, rooted, stunned up. The soldiers are going to take him down. Blanc claims number 2.
Memento and Blanc together, this is what we want to see from Roccat. These two guys being aggressive, trying to get some early kills. They're going for more.
And they're going to look for PerkZ this time. Can he get out of dodge before it's over? Nice dodge. He can get out.
Such a cool thing though with the Azir ulti. Actually knocked Jankos out of range from his own flag. So he didn't actually get to jump over the wall. He had to then flash after, but already taken so much damage, and then he got caught and died.
Yeah, you talked about the combination, but I want to get some hype on Blanc right now because he was one of the guys we discussed right before the season started. He was going to be one of the bigger, badder players on Roccat if they were going to show up, and we didn't see it yesterday. We're starting to see signs of that.
The two biggest names that most people talked about was Memento and Blanc. The two names showing up in this game, it's Memento and Blanc together. Look at that aggressive play here. Memento's around the corner. Blanc knocks Jankos away. And then Jankos has to flash over, but he's already slowed down. Ends up dying then. The soldiers take him down.
2 early kills. And the composition we talked about that could snowball from G2. They're behind in gold.
Well, they certainly are. You look at the late game damage that's on the Roccat side. I know we're quite a ways away from that late game, but it is looking good. 700 gold the lead as we approach the 12-minute mark. No towers knocked down. I feel like that might change sooner or later. Of course, Hjärnan still pushing on that.
They're trying around mid again.
But here we go. More action in the mid lane. Blanc trying to walk it out as PerkZ realm warps in. You set it up, but they didn't knock him down, Deficio.
Yeah, that was lame.
That's okay. You win some, you lose some. All right.
Oh, no, he's just gonna die.
Oh, boy. We're in prison. Walks around again.
Ah, they didn't know where Jankos would be on the map, so they didn't go for him. Jankos was actually down towards the Drake, but he quickly returned to the mid lane, so safe play from Roccat here, not going all in for that one. They already got 2 kills on the Azir. They don't actually need to risk dying right now. Blanc, fantastic start. 1 item already fully completed. PerkZ is still stacking with everything he's building. PerkZ's been stuck in this mid lane, went bot lane once, it didn't work, and then he died.
And we haven't talked hardly at all about the top lane because it has been a farm fest between Wunder and Prophet. I feel like that's honestly the way that Roccat like it right now. They're getting all the attention and all the kills on Blanc. He's performing very well. You know, there's definitely some hope in this team. Become Kingslayers once again. Norskeren jumping in, forces the flash out of PerkZ with his Glacial Fissure. And now it is 4 members of Roccat charging down the lane. And this is going to be first tower in the mid for Team Roccat.
Yeah, Azir's been dealing so much damage to this mid lane turret. Instantly places the passive so they can go down to the bottom side where the Drake is at. G2 can't really push back the mid lane due to that turret from Azir. Now the 4-man group can try and look for another play. Will they start the Infernal Drake? That is a no, because there's too much farm. Bot lane they have to catch.
Try to pick back up on it. Don't give a chance for G2 to equalize the towers either. Of course, Tristana had backed away. Still a lot of vision invested by Roccat here. You can see around the jungle entrances, near the Dragon Pit. They're giving no quarter to this G2 team.
And they keep so much control. Look at the 4 wards being placed in the G2 jungle. Then they have control wards in the river. They can see everything on that bottom side except for the little brush next to the bot lane itself where there's a blue control ward placed. But it is hard for Jankos to sneak around all this vision and try and go for a gank. Also, there's flashes available on the bottom side for Roccat. So they're very happy with this start here. As we mentioned in the late game, when you have these 2 hyper carries basically with HeaQ and Blanc, it's on G2 to force the engages onto them. And that's why we look at Jankos and Wunder to do it. But it's difficult because as a tank, you can die very quickly against these 2 carries.
Well, we haven't seen Wunder really get involved in this action. I mean, we haven't seen Prophet either because they have been kind of locked in Mortal Farm Fest for a little while. I want to see what happens once we start getting into those bigger skirmishes. The Dragon is going to be a very enticing objective in this game. The Infernal Drake, the extra damage, AP and AD it grants, that can mean the difference in a lot of late game. Now,
he's spotted.
Jankos, he did get spotted, but he starts things off, and they are in position to do it.
Funny enough, due to zombie ward on Jankos, he just killed everything Roccat had placed, and there's now a million zombie wards being placed on this map here that G2 can actually get full vision of the Drake and fight.
Well, here we go. It looks like after the Dragon, they're going to go for seconds. And Memento is rooted up. Here comes the call of the Forge God. The Zac is bouncing back, and Wunder looks for Blanc. Meanwhile, no one's gone down just yet, but Roccat trying to save their lives as Wunder is the first casualty of the battle. Memento, no fear, jumping forward in the realm warp out for PerkZ, trying to make his great escape. They get the Dragon, but it cost them their top laner.
First big team fight here. We're going to get a lot of these in this game. G2 Esports, though, getting Infernal Drake is very important. Sadly for Wunder, the first time we see him in action, he ends up going too far forward and dies very quickly. G2 trying to push their mid lane turret. Not going to happen against this Azir. 3 kills now for Roccat. All 3 kills on the mid laner.
But the Dragon secured by G2 Esports, you have to think it buys them a little bit of time. But let's take a look at how it went down here. It looked like G2 was caught in that pit.
Well, they were ready to take the fight, though. We saw instant TP down. Blanc knocks Jankos away, and right now no one is actually threatening that back line. HeaQ's left untouched. Wunder tries to get onto him, but he's just a simple tank. No one else can follow. This is what we talk about. Playing a tank is not easy in this game because you are going to be dealing with 2 carries in the late game from Roccat that can kill you very, very quickly. And I don't know what's wrong with this Roccat team, but yesterday they played against a Sjokz team with a sub. They get destroyed. Now they play against G2 Esports without a sub. And Roccat up 3-0, getting a Rift Herald, almost 2,000 gold ahead. And you were kind of hinting at, what was it again? Prince Slayers?
Kings, if I believe.
Was it King Slayers?
This is the thing, Deficio. Schalke have won no battles yet. They do not get to wear any braids. They are not the kings. Therefore, Roccat can't beat them.
They can only beat teams who've won the EU LCS.
All right. G2
For
might
now.
be in trouble. I mean, it's 3-0 right now. We're 17 minutes in. Roccat, they got 1 kill, but I think just touching on the fact that the Kog'Maw was relatively safe after the first onslaught, that's the scary part. If Roccat can do that once, they can do it again. He's got the Rage Blade, and he's not going to get any weaker.
No, and the fact that the Azir ult can be used to try and knock away someone like Jankos when he actually gets to the backline is going to be huge.
Okay, Jankos gets pulled in for a
fine.
smooch with the Scuttle Crab.
This time he's fine. That top side on G2 I was trying to hype up before the game started with Wunder, Jankos, and PerkZ have all been so nice that they gifted a kill over to Roccat instead of taking over the early game.
Well, you get to get hyped about the top lane now because that's where the Kog'Maw is.
Good. They can push a tower.
Yep,
Hype.
easy.
I'm actually mainly just hyped around the mid lane at the moment because I feel like whenever the camp goes to mid lane, there's a fight.
There definitely is, or at least a few love taps. Jankos takes some poke, backs it on out, but both teams trying to feel it out here in this mid game. Honestly, what's impressing me every time I look at this minimap is there's a lot more Roccat vision than there is G2.
The discipline of Freddy as the head coach, forcing these players to buy control wards, place them to whichever side they want to play. Bot side beforehand, top side right now. G2 are not seeing a lot, but they do have pressure bot lane because PerkZ is already pushing. He's not afraid of Prophet. Let's see if he can push in this mid and then either roam mid and make a play, or if Jankos moves to this bot lane and they try and kill Prophet together.
Yeah.
Tahm Kench can also ulti in from mid lane. There can suddenly be 4 members from G2 killing Prophet.
Yeah, there's a lot of mobility for sure, and you got to be careful. You can't get caught sleeping against a team like G2. And PerkZ, he's had a much quieter game on this Ryze, but it's kind of hard to forget exactly what he did yesterday because he was an absolute beast. I mean,
Yeah.
went 15 in the KDA, was part of 83% of the kills.
And this is a classic thing for star players. They get complacent. After they get a great achievement like winning the CS record at 28 minutes, they just stop caring.
I mean, it's all downhill from there.
Exactly, it's no longer important. So PerkZ, he's done everything. He's achieved everything. He's won EU LCS. Not even, like, Faker's not even won EU LCS.
This is why he needs a nemesis, and his name could be Roccat. Yeah, I got that. Don't you think the man suffered enough today?
Oh, no spoilers. Definitely go rewatch that game 3 of SKT Gnar.
Yeah, but you might want to roll out a sleeping bag for that.
Yeah, don't do it today. Watch EU LCS and then NALCS.
All right. Well, Deficio, we are closing in on the 20-minute mark, which, of course, is that magical time when a giant purple worm spawns on the rift. And all of our European teams decide to do a dance in its honor.
See if anyone wants to dance around it this time.
It might be a little while. I mean, it's a slow build.
The main thing we're waiting for here is just more of these big fights, because that's really what's going to come down to here with Rocket's draft, going so much late game. Then the fact they're winning the early game just makes it even better for them.
And
Top lane tower.
all the kills are on Blanc too, right?
It's fantastic.
Yeah,
Like,
this is so crazy right now. You've got the 3-0 Azir. Everyone else is actually doing, pretty solid in keeping up with or even overcoming the farm of their opponents. Like, this is a team, Roccat, pegged by, honestly, just about every analyst as being close to the bottom of the barrel. Compare that to G2 Esports expectations. And Roccat are showing up right now. It's very impressive.
and it's good to see them bouncing back after yesterday. The game is not over yet though, Pyra.
No, there's quite a lot to play.
And the cool thing about Best of One is we get to overreact after every single win. So if they win here, we can call them the best team in the world
Ooh, I like that.
until the next game.
Yeah, it's technically true.
Or at least best team in Europe, because they beat the former.
It's what happens. You beat the best team, you become the best team.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
That's how BO1 works.
I think they call that the unofficial championship belt.
Don't know where it is right now. Belt.
Somebody on Reddit knows. We'll ask about that one later.
It always disappears for like a year, and then randomly someone finds out, oh, it's actually in this tournament now, and they're like, oh, okay, now suddenly it's a Worlds. They're starting Baron at 21 minutes.
Yeah, that was a quick one, and it's completely blind.
It's
right
that
now.
Rocket
G2
vision
do not
again.
know. Can G2 sniff it out?
No one is
on
checking.
The Jarvan.
No
Nobody
one is
knows
checking.
this Memento. He's hard tanking. There's so much damage on Blanc. He's got it. And they just take
Great
21
call.
minute Baron.
I love it. The investment in all these control wards in that topside river paying off here. G2 did not expect that little Baron attempt, and the Azir plus tank jungler. We've seen that from Fnatic as well, to sneak a Baron very quickly. This is done much earlier in the game though, 21 minutes. Roccat are playing a great game, and they're punishing a passive G2.
Yeah, they've already been playing those side lanes. Oh, Prophet, he's looking for the chase down. Goes Gnar. Can't catch up with PerkZ at this point, but PerkZ just does not have nearly enough damage to fend him off. And look at the damage HeaQ's dishing only on 2 items. The Runan's Hurricane now completed. And they are eyeballing a march down the mid lane.
And I also just love, again, seeing all these zombie wards now.
Yeah.
Because, again, Roccat places so many wards and Jankos kills so many of them, there's so many zombie wards placed.
I wanted to say, when you mentioned it earlier, there was a little bit of action going on, but that's how zombies work, Deficio. It only starts with one, and then before you know it, the entire map is full of zombie vision.
Oh, I've been playing They Are Billions quite a lot. I know that feeling.
Yeah.
They get to one house and the game is over.
Imagine a map entirely filled with vision. Every brush.
It would be weird to play League of Legends where you could see everything at all times. It would suck to be a jungler.
Just turn off Fog of War. Yeah, that
Because
actually
it did never surprise anyone. It was like, oh, he's right there.
I think we go back to like duo top.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. Or just ARAM.
I mean, we already see ARAM in EU LCS.
We did earlier. Anyways.
Bot lane tower, baby.
Yep, HeaQ, Norskeren, pretty easy peasy take here. And G2, I mean, this is that slow snowball, the rotation around the towers. They're not reacting to it right now, and they're going to be in for a whopping deficit if this continues.
Because G2 have fallen so far behind, not been able to force any plays with the Ryze roams, they don't feel they can really start fights at the moment, because if Jankos jumps in, he dies so quickly. HeaQ with that Rage Blade Hurricane, Blanc with 2 items as well, like, Jankos is not tanky enough to do anything against
I
it.
don't think anyone's tanky enough.
That's on damage.
Okay, let's see, because he'll eaten up by Wadid.
Oh, HeaQ, he's angry, man.
Oh, that is the savior right there. But HeaQ, he wants to unlock his potential. Freddie was talking about that with this team. I didn't expect it to happen so soon.
Well, HeaQ and the rest of Roccat takes down another turret now. It is not the one in bot lane just yet, but that is the next one on the menu, using this Baron buff very well. Big goal lead. And HeaQ is such an interesting player because he's been in EU for about 2 years now. He's always on bottom teams. But he always talks about how he just wants to have one split where he plays consistently well and proves himself. And we see one game every second or third week where HeaQ does really well, has really good team fights. And then we don't really see him for a few more weeks. And it's kind of been the story for him and why I guess a lot of people are not rating him as one of the top 80 carries in Europe. He really just wants to show with this Roccat team that he deserves to be in the LCS.
Yeah, well, so far, I mean, this is definitely a solid case for that. And in a pool, you mentioned, of 80 carries that is just so ridiculously stacked. I mean, it's a great performance to start putting on. Obviously, there's still plenty of time in this game left to go, but he's got the right protection. Norskeren on the Braum has been covering him. Memento has been setting up the dives and plays. I mean, everything is coming together, and HeaQ is the central part of the strategy. Remember, they picked that Kog'Maw first.
Profit runs away from PerkZ here. Hides behind the minions. Jankos, this is what we actually talked about like 5 minutes ago. How G2 could send Jankos to the lane with Ryze, play around the strongest member and try and kill Profit to take down this turret. PerkZ will get to just deal with it on his own because the rest of Roccat, they're pushing on the other side of the map. And remember, PerkZ is sitting without teleport. He can't join the fight.
Yeah, it's all well and good to knock down tower number 2 for G2, but PerkZ, as much as you try to wail against those objectives, Roccat are just going to hit that much harder with 4 members. It's 6 towers to 2, a 5,000 gold advantage. Team Roccat are the ones controlling this game. I can't believe it.
I mean,
even though I've been seeing it for the last 25 minutes.
I just really like the game plan. They read everything that G2 wants to do early with the Ryze. Blanc came back to lane, tried to perma push it. They reacted well to that first roam to the bot lane where HeaQ just used the stopwatch. Smart choice, picked that from him. And then they took down mid lane turret and started killing everyone on the top side. So even though it's only 3-0, the game's not been slow because there's been so much focus around Roccat pushing down these turrets and also that early Baron. We're still waiting for the big team fight where G2 might have a chance to get back. But I think Rocket's comp in these big late game team fights is very, very strong.
Yeah, you mentioned at the very start of the game that the strength that Roccat had was the amount of late game damage, and you kind of always have to say that when there's a Kog'Maw, but Blanc getting his 3 kills, not hurting at all. Yes, there have been dragons going the way of G2, but it feels like those have been consolation prizes. They've been trying to grab objectives on the map. They haven't been able to do much up this top side. Both the Rift Herald, Baron went Rocket's way, and they haven't let up on the gas pedal.
I would love to see early Roccat come in from Memento, and then you get redemption on the Braum, and then you just have so much protection for these next few fights for that back line, because HeaQ just needs to stay alive for like 5 to 6 seconds with his W active, and he's killed at least 1 tank on the side of G2. Maybe he's even taken down a second one. So you gotta use everything you got. Knight's Vow, Locket Shield, Redemption Heal, just to make sure HeaQ does not die early.
Well, they can put up such a huge defense, right? I mean, you've got the Emperor's Divide. You can use that to knock the team away. You've got Braum's Unbreakable. If you've got a Gnar, you can meat shield Memento. There's so much CC on this team as well. It just seems like a well-drafted composition. It's nice to see from Roccat.
a classic teamfight comp with a ton of protection. I also like Braum a lot against Ryze because the majority of Ryze's damage comes from, of course, the Q skill shot, and Braum can block that very easily in a fight. Same actually against AD carries like Tristana that are purely focused on the auto-attacking. Braum will do extremely well at just saving his teammates for a few seconds in big late game fights. So it's on G2 here to kind of outplay Roccat at this point. And as this kind of angry person I am, I'm really happy that I'm watching a Tahm Kench lose. Because I'm so tired of Tahm Kench. I'm so tired of the fact that he offers so much defensively, but so little offensively.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a little bit tough. Clearly, you've not been running into any of those top on-hit Tahm Kenches, but that's not exactly been flavor for a while.
I faced one of those in A-Ram once. It actually dealt a lot of damage.
That's the only way to build it in A-Ram.
Now you have this problem here as Wadid, where you can't really do much in fights because you are so defensive with Tahm Kench, in team fights that is, that you don't add a lot of value to your team. You're not the one looking to save your teammates because you need to get to the backline of the enemy team. And you can't really do that unless you use their ulti very aggressively.
So, I mean, is that the key right now for them to try and get in? Do they just need Abyssal Voids in the backline, pick off the Cog, and that simple?
It's really hard to do because the enemy can literally see where you spawn. Like, oh, they're coming right there. And then they can obviously turn around and most likely kill you. But if someone from Roccat is on the wrong side of the map, if someone from Roccat is overextended on his own, you can catch him with Tahm Kench ulti or Ryze ulti.
I was going to say, the Realm Warp, we've seen PerkZ use that offensively once this game. That might come out again. And it does seem like G2 don't have answers at the moment, though. The slow and steady seems to be working against them.
It is definitely all in Rocket's favor right now. Good setup around the Baron again. Just got to kill that little blue ward near the Baron pit. Once they do that, well, actually it's disabled, so it doesn't matter because they got a control ward down. Carry on, Roccat.
Yeah, and don't kill him because actually they know.
Oh, let's see.
Uh-oh, they've cut Jankos. He's out. Flag and drag, but that is
start
his
the Baron.
tool.
Just start it. You take it down so quickly. Just start it.
So much damage right now, and obviously G2 can't see in the dark, but they know exactly what is happening. Baron number 2 will fall uncontested to Team Roccat as we get closer and closer to that 30-minute mark. It seems like the jaws of death are closing around this G2 Esports squad.
Roccat still needs to finish the game. I've been teasing a big team fight the last 25 minutes.
This is one of those games where it always comes down to one, and you've barely seen any proper fights.
It comes down to one if Roccat wins that fight.
Wait, of course. Then it comes down to like a dozen more.
Yeah, yeah. If they lose it, then suddenly G2 are like, okay, great, we can win another 2 or 3 fights.
Well, here's how you hedge your bets. If you're Roccat, you take everything else on the map, so you strangle G2 out.
One of the fun things, Pyre, is when we have 36 roster changes, the most ever in the EU LCS. We look at all these brand new lineups, and we come in with all these crazy predictions before the split, saying, oh yeah, this team's going to be the best, this team's going to be the worst.
And we're wrong.
Well, yeah, for now. I mean, we're only week 1, so let's see what happens in the next few weeks. But just watching some of these completely new lineups show us something special on stage. Like Memento and Blanc, great synergy in this game, good to see. HeaQ needs to show up in a big team fight. Roccat wins this game. Hype for them and this new lineup. Early on, they didn't have to wait a few weeks before they started clicking. And the same thing we just saw like with the last game here where Fnatic lost to H2K. Yeah. A team that people did not expect to do that well early on.
And prior to that, we saw Giants taking the win in their first game yesterday. I mean, a lot of teams that people didn't have huge expectations on stepping up.
Everyone's winning games except for the Unicorns are off right now.
Wait, hold on. I think I remember an old mantra that was similar to that. What was it? Something about everyone
wins and certain. Oh, everyone. Yeah, wins.
Certain team wins. I don't know. We'll get back to that.
There's some team that wins in the end.
It's back in my mind. I'm not so certain. As Roccat looking to try and pull off the kill in the mid. It looks like PerkZ did not decide to Realm Warp into the back. That's a dangerous proposition at the best of times.
That ult had the same impact as PerkZ in this game.
Wow.
Absolutely no impact. I know I flamed him there for no reason. It's not really his fault. But
are you still just salty about that 28-minute CS thing?
No. PerkZ my friend. He can take it.
All right. Well, looks like Roccat going to be able to knock down this tower, which can take the damage coming out. Norskeren stopping out PerkZ here.
This might be a big fight.
Dodge it out. At least one. The second hopped over. And here we go. G2 trying for the desperation charge, but the Gnar is in the back. Causes some havoc. HeaQ locked up inside the pit from Jankos. There's no backup.
Oh,
he's going to fall to Hjärnan. The AD carry duel in the midst of all the action, but it is a 1-for-1 as things keep on going. Blanc gets a rampage as he blanks out Wadid.
They still got that Baron buff. They want the inhib now. G2 tried to go for that big fight, and they lost it. Memento actually killed his AD carry because he pulled Hjärnan right next to him, so Hjärnan just shot him in the face and killed him. Doesn't matter though, Roccat won the fight. They're looking for Another turret down here. Big minion wave.
No accounting for betrayals, but right now with the numbers advantage, Roccat and the Baron buff in tow. That's another quick call.
Yeah, we need some...
All right, Wunder trying to push those buttons as fast as he possibly can is going to push Roccat off the bottom.
We need a longer cooldown on that ult. That's for sure.
That falls into the category of busted.
It was just used before, but I can't wait to see that fight again. HeaQ stayed alive for most of the fight until Memento actually delivered Hjärnan, and then he died. But Roccat here gets the tower first. Shield is down now from Norskeren. That's why G2 looks for the fight. It's a great ulti from Wunder. Great ulti here from Norskeren as well. But then look at HeaQ. He stays alive at first. Everyone's onto him. PerkZ, Jankos. And then it's actually Tristana getting delivered to the back line. And Hjärnan jumps away after getting the kill. Luckily though, Blanc is still left full HP. So Roccat, they got the towers, they got the Barons. Didn't get the Drakes in this game at all. 3 of them in favor of G2 then. Could be important because it means that Elder Drake will not mean a lot for Roccat when they get it, if they're still ahead when it spawns.
So Deficio, just to get some clarification on that Ornn ultimate, that thing is currently sitting on a 38.5 second cooldown with all the CDR and the unsealed spellbook that Wunder's rocking. So you might as well just put that on one of his other buttons.
Almost at this point.
Yeah.
If he had the ultimate hat, maybe, we'll get it further down.
That is pretty gross, I have to admit. But I mean, in all honesty, like G2 were fighting their hearts out, fighting for their lives in that, and they still were only barely able to take out HeaQ with some help from Memento.
And normally when we watch G2 play and they had Sven and Mithy, we always kind of felt like when it got full late game, well, G2 would just win because Sven would just take over a team fight and then the game is over. But he's not here anymore, he's gone. Same with Mithy. Hjärnan and Wadid needs to show that they can also carry in late game fights. Because right now it's not about Wunder and Jankos, they are mainly just tanks. And playing Ryze in late game fights against 2 frontline tanks and a Braum with his shield is also very difficult, so it is a lot about Hjärnan. His positioning, he's currently lacking penetration to quickly burn through the big front line, but he does sit with a lot of damage here. I actually like Essence Reaver a lot on Tristana to reduce the cooldown on your rapid fire, your Q, which is the main DPS boost in Tristana's kit.
There we go, Memento looking to jump in, decides not to. Yeah, we talked a lot about HeaQ this game, but yeah, the opposite number, Hjärnan on Tristana, that is definitely a scary champion once you get past that 4-item threshold that he's now at. He's only going to get stronger and stronger as the game wears on, but he's got to be able to pull off those big outplays.
Actually, right now, Prophet is not sitting with a lot of armor, so it's not really an issue for Hjärnan. I did talk about the penetration before. There's a bit on Memento's side, and there's quite a bit on Norskeren's side, so it will still be useful for him. But he can at least burn through Prophet fairly quickly.
All right, G2 trying to hold fast to their base. Down on the bottom is the Theater of War. A couple of crits, just love tapping onto Roccat. Not going all in just yet. Memento eyeballed another jump, decided better of it. And they get back underneath the Sun Disk. And they're going to reset, try again. Baron, of course, long gone. But the Elder Dragon is going to come up pretty soon.
Sucky Elder Dragon, though.
You don't want it if you're Roccat. You want G2 not to have it.
That's very true. If you are Roccat, you're kind of annoyed right now because you feel like you're going to win every single team fight. But you need to get the team fight first, and G2 not allowing anything.
That's the stallback, right? I mean, it seems like the win condition, like you're pointing out, is going to be on Hjärnan if he can deliver and dish all the damage. They have a lot of CC to set him up. Jankos obviously not been shy of jumping in head first.
He's been trying. Hard for him, though, to do anything else than just ult and then hope his team can actually kill someone.
Yeah, that's one kind of game plan.
It really feels like G2, if they can't kill the front line of Roccat fast enough, then they have to just try and dive the back line, and that's what Jankos is going for.
Here we go, Jankos, he does get stopped up because
on HeaQ.
Dives in, looks for HeaQ, but he can't quite get it, so he jumps in the pit for the rest of the team. It's occupied, and HeaQ says, I'm not trapped in here with you! And he just dishes that damage. Wunder takes out Norskeren on the other side, but G2 all of a sudden realize they may not be able to keep this one going. The re-engage happens, the Shurima shuffle, and the rest of G2 plowed right back into Roccat. What a kill by Blanc. He falls in the end. It's a double to Wunder. And everybody's dropping like flies. 2 members left on G2, but they're bleeding dry.
Yeah, HeaQ is still alive here. Will he go for the turret? No, he's just backing away. Instead, looking towards that Elder Drake. PerkZ is still there to defend, so is Wunder. And that ulti from Wunder is almost ready again, so this is a good choice to just step away if you're Roccat.
One way to tell if you've lost a team fight, the enemy Kog'Maw is still alive. That's a little bit rough, so they're going to start on 2 members on this Elder.
And HeaQ had no flash in that fight. It was actually the perfect setup for G2 to try and get onto him. Jankos Doesn't get the knockup, just misses, but he does trap HeaQ for a moment at least. PerkZ is denied entrance because of Prophet on top side, and now everyone is trying to just kill Memento, but his passive is ready. And if Prophet just had Mega Gnar earlier, he could have gone in for a huge play, but it's very late in the fight. He gets it, tries to use that TP to make sure Memento stays alive in the passive. Very split fight, but the fact that HeaQ survived without flash means he has it now for this next team fight. It's going to be around Baron.
Desperation, here we go. Can G2 fire it down before all said and done? It looks like they've zoned out. So this time, G2 managed to pick up the Baron, but it's yet to be seen if they can get out with their lives. Prophet chasing on Norskeren, flashes. G2, oh, they are trying to get out. That's not a death ball, that's a we're afraid of death ball. Let's see the cutoff around the side. Here comes Prophet, Narbar coming, but they are out of there. Nice escape, courtesy of PerkZ Party Portal.
Everyone gets away on the side of G2. They also used Wadid's ulti to send all 5 members up towards that Baron. I think it was just him and one other guy being left behind, and obviously that's where the Tahm Kench is so valuable, transporting 2 people very quickly, and Roccat couldn't react as fast. So G2, they're holding on. Last team fight was dead even.
That was close, man.
And that Elder Drakes we keep talking about, it doesn't mean a lot for Roccat. So Baron for G2, much more important.
Absolutely. I mean, the gold game has still been like 5,000 down, but once you start getting into these later items, it means less and less as things go on. There's a lot of protection. The Ornn enabling some of those item upgrades, of course. It's, man, this is so tense of a game, Deficio.
Hjärnan went for a defensive choice here. Getting a bit of MR, upgrading his Hexstring into a more here. I don't really like it at this point. I don't feel like you need to defend yourself as Tristana with your range. I think you just need as much damage as possible, because you need to try and match what HeaQ is doing on the other side. I think just getting more raw damage would have been better for him, but he's obviously accepting the fact there is a lot of magic damage on the side of Roccat. I just feel like if he's getting hit anyway, well, then they might have already lost the front line. The fight could be over.
Yeah, that could be a little bit rough here.
Because it's always like when you have these late game fights with 2 scaling AD carries, you're always looking at who can kill the front line first, or who can catch that AD carry out of position, take him down first. That's a guaranteed way to win the fight. Otherwise, it's just a battle of who kills the tank first. That's the long, drawn-out fights we've already seen a few of. HeaQ's flash is ready, so it's hard to kill him quickly, meaning it might be a battle of which tank can stay alive.
Comes down to
Memento,
he decides to go in, looks for Hjärnan, is not able to pull him as the flash was forced. That is an ultimate traded. The cooldown in Rockat's favor. They want to re-engage as Prophet hop skips.
No Mega Gnar.
One more time, Memento going for the hop, but Jankos, he's flagging, he's dragging, and can he get out? Wadid, he's trying to make safe, but it looks like the rest of the team is going to get caught around the side. Hjärnan hops in, but the rest of the team is scrambling back. HeaQ flashing forward. Wadid swallows up his carry once more as Wunder tries to get the hell out of there, and PerkZ pulls the old stopwatch trick, but now it is open season on inhibitors.
Hjärnan is still behind Roccat here, realizing he can't do anything and walks away. G2 caught out here. Zac engages. Perfect here in the late game, jumping over these walls, surprising G2, and then we just see Roccat trying to run it down mid.
Everyone flashing forward, man. I mean, HeaQ, he flashing ult too. Holy moly, this is going to be Roccat 5 members strong, trying to push down the bottom. Super Minion's going to start streaming back in the mid. But wait, they decided they want to take out PerkZ. He's got no stopwatch, he's got no flash. Can they pull him off? Blanc might have bit off a little bit more than he could chew there. I'm not so sure around the Emperor's Divide. Prophet a little low, G2 realizing maybe they can jump in, maybe now is their time to call, and the Forge God, and all of a sudden Roccat are dropping low. Have they gone too deep? Hjärnan picks up HeaQ, and PerkZ knows just barely that he's gonna get out alive.
Oh my god, that was huge for G2 to already have a big wave top lane pushing in, giving them a tower. And not only did they kill HeaQ, they got his flash as well. Roccat had that numbers advantage. They already killed Wadid, and then they actually lost the following fight.
Sometimes when you look like you're going to win that game no matter what, you buy into your own hype, and it bit Roccat in the behind. They're going to have to deal with the wave top, with the push from G2, who are now in for a serious gold infusion. They've still got the Baron buff.
One mistake, Pyra. One mistake from Pyra from Roccat.
That was a mistake for me too, actually.
All right, great. Correct call then. One mistake from Roccat and Pyra, and suddenly G2 Esports are pushing for an inhib.
Yeah, let's see if they can make good on it.
Only get a turret.
They do grab the turret still. They've managed to catch up close anyways. On that tower score, Roccat, they still got a deadly fight, but they might think twice about diving in too deep.
And I'm missing some defensive items on Rockat's side. We can talk about that later here. Let's see what happens. It's 4v5. They land the Braum Q onto PerkZ and then think, okay, we can dive in and kill him. But Prophet is on the other side here. So is HeaQ when this fight starts. There's a lot of free damage being delivered. Hjärnan takes the 1-on-1 against the Minion and wins that 1-on-1 hard. And then it's a great engage from Jankos. Ulti and then he lands the knockoff. HeaQ used the flash aggressively in the previous fight. So no way out once he actually stepped forward. That flash is so important for him. He really needs it back. Sometimes in the late game, it's actually worth it to get CDR boots for HeaQ here to get lower cooldown on his W and try and see if he can actually get more survivability in these fights.
Yeah, I mean, he's got so much attack speed already, he could probably just sell his boots, trade it back over. But yeah, setbacks here for Roccat as we get past 40 minutes into this game. It does seem like we've had quite a few long ones today, Deficio.
But also, if you look at Roccat, they just completed the first locket on their side, 42 minutes in. Memento also went for Knight's Vow, so they put one on Blanc, one on HeaQ. I think earlier there, they could have gone for even more huge shielding from the team, but Memento probably feeling like he's diving into the enemy backline, so he won't get to lock it on his carries, and that's fine. But then I think he could go Knight's Vow, and Norskeren could have rushed an earlier locket for himself. But anyway, small things in this game here. Double Knight's Vow, and the locket is here this time around.
It's all come up again. So, we talked a little while ago about it coming down to one fight if Roccat wins it. I feel like we're in the alternate scenario here. G2 trying to claw their way back.
But we have a lot of even fights in this game.
We do have a lot of even fights. Now, G2 is still going to have to defend. The bottom inhibitor is open.
Jankos is top lane right now.
It's a 5v4 all of a sudden. That's going to be free time on inhib. And I don't know if Roccat are going to stay around. Now they got to have one more shot on that. Let's see if they can take this fight as Jankos is once more rejoined.
It is very scary to fight in the side lanes against Ornn because his ulti is so huge with the range. You kind of block because there's a wall underneath you and there's a giant Ornn ulti coming from the top, and then it's very hard to not get hit by it. So Roccat playing it smart here, just stepping away, not trying to go all in for the fight.
They were looking for Wunder.
Down bot lane. Fight it here instead, especially around the mid lane. Much easier to dodge around the Ornn ulti.
Yeah, G2 out in the open here. Now Baron's about to spawn in 20 seconds. That should be the next staging ground for this epic battle. Back and forth. Remember, 6 kills and 9 doesn't quite tell the whole story of how this game has gone down. G2 taking an advanced position around that Baron. Getting a couple of wards down. Roccat are not far behind.
Last game was extremely close between Fnatic and H2K, back and forth. Great team fights. This game doing the exact same thing. Very exciting games here in the LCS on day 2. Roccat looking to again try and upset G2 Esports, but G2, they're not backing down. Hjärnan's been playing well in these fights.
There we go. Trigger's been pulled, forcing the teleport out of Wunder, but looks like Jankos wants to go in, and he gets knocked right on back, and all of a sudden, the Zach pulls in too. Wadid, he's going low. He can't save anyone's life. But the redemption's not going to do a thing. Blanc shuffles him right back in. Wunder is way too late to this party, and it is a triple kill from Blanc. Oh, baby, it looks like Wunder's going to fall. Not a lot else he can do. Tries for the blast cone. PerkZ is getting out of there.
Oh, stop the recall.
Stopping it. Let's see if he can keep it going. Norskeren hanging on to this one. Meanwhile,
they got it.
Roccat running it down through the base.
Great team fight from Roccat here. They kept HeaQ alive at first, and then Blanc, he dove into the backline of G2. Got a triple kill for himself. 9 kills in this game on their Azir. Great performance, and Roccat, they win the game.
Very, very deserved. A last-ditch effort from Wunder and PerkZ to try to save the game. But with the Nexus Bear, it is clear that Kingslayers once could slay Kings again.
They keep doing it, man. On day 1, they lose to a team with a sub. On day 2, they beat G2 Esports. Great performance from this completely new lineup. So many names that people don't expect a lot from. And then in this game here, they showed up from the start.
All right, I got to give it to Freddy. Potential unlocked. What a game from Roccat.
Oh, so exciting. So exciting. H2K beats Fnatic. Roccat beats G2. The glory of BO1, where upsets will happen all the time.
Oh, man. That is just magnificent to behold. In all honesty, it was a clean game from Roccat for a good chunk of it. They went a little too deep a few times. G2 started clawing their way back, but, I mean, it kind of felt almost like they were G2ing G2.
I just love the start with Blanc and Memento. We were looking at that roster and being like, if these two guys can work well together, they can get some early advantages. They punished PerkZ, then they punished Jankos. That was what actually started the whole thing for this Roccat team, and they stayed ahead for basically the entire game. And that's again why a best of one is not about saying which team is the best specifically, but we do have to look very closely at how teams are executing certain drafts, how they are playing the late game, how they're playing team fights, and that's where we can see a lot, even in a best of one, because they read the game plan of G2 with the Ryze.
Yeah.
So we know you're gonna try and TP back, push lane, roam, and surprise us. No, early recall from Blanc, push the lane as hard as possible, call the roam early, HeaQ with the stopwatch, stayed alive on the first roam, and then it was basically just in favor of Roccat from there.
It's a different kind of adaptation. It's not the adaptation of in between a series you can try and resettle and try and draft better. No. You've got to be able to do it in the here, in the now, with the variables that are on that table. And today, Roccat just proved that they were the ones who had it for them.
I love the game, man. So good.
Can't ask for more.
Good late game team fighting. Also G2 trying their best to stall this game here. They were pretty far down, and they actually managed to keep the game going for quite a while.
There were some really impressive plays. I loved that, grab and go Baron, and they just managed to juke with PerkZ's Realm Warp. I mean, that was overall just super sick. But anyways, that's about it. So find out what Memento says after Rocket's win when we come back. We also got a big game to close out the week with Sjokz and Misfits Gaming ready to clash on the Rift, followed by the LCS post-game lobby. Don't go anywhere. Goose sticking on as he flashes back in, and there's the soldiers, but once again the stopwatch ticks away, and it's Flash for first blood. G2 trying for the desperation charge, but the Gnar is in the back, causing some havoc. HeaQ locked up inside the pit from Jankos. There's no backup. He's gonna fall to Hjärnan. The AD carry duel in the midst of all the action. HeaQ can't quite get it, so he jumps in the pit with the rest of the team. It's occupied, and HeaQ says, "I'm not trapped in here with you," and he just dishes that damage. Wunder takes out Norskeren on the other side, but G2 all of a sudden realize they may not be able to keep this one going. The re-engage happens, the Shurima shuffle, and the rest of G2 plowed. Time to call in the Forge God, and all of a sudden Roccat are dropping low. Have they gone too deep? Hjärnan picks up HeaQ. Ghost wants to go in, and he gets knocked right on back, and all of a sudden, the Zac pulls in too. Wadid, he's going live. He can't save anyone's life. The redemption's not going to do a thing. Blanc shuffles him right back in. Wunder is way too late to this party. Very deserved. A last-ditch effort from Wunder and PerkZ to try to save the game. But with the Nexus Bear, it is clear